Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly, and welcome to this video in which we are going to be looking at pitching tips, how you can hit full pitch shots into the green and half pitch shots, making sure that your strike and your distance control is good no matter what the yardage you face. Now the tips are coming from Luke Peterken, Honma's custom fit specialist here in the UK. Luke's got some great advice on how you can improve those parts of your game. If you're new to the Golf Monthly channel, please do hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss any of our videos. Hit the like button if you like what you're watching, and also, of course, do leave comments below. What do you think about Luke's tips? Okay, so pitching, Luke, we've got pretty much a full pitch shot here. So it's about 80 yards, which is pretty well a full pitch shot. Why is it that so many amateurs struggle with this particular part of the game, do you think?
I think a lot of the time amateurs that I'm either coaching or fitting will either have a club in the bag that they just want to hit full shots with.
Yeah, right.
They don't maybe like to do different length swings with one club. They'll just want to go, okay, this is 100 yards, this is a full such and such. Whereas when you start to get down to that 100 yards and in, sometimes it might require a bit of a different length swing. So then it can be quite tricky to judge if you don't feel comfortable doing that.
Okay, so we'll talk about the half pitch or a shorter pitch in a minute, but let's start with the sort of basic pitch shot.
Okay.
What are the fundamentals that people need to cement to start with?
So I would say starting point with the posture and setup. My setup with a full pitch tends to be quite narrow with the stance, but I'm making sure that everything's basically slightly left of my target line.
So for all those of you out there who struggle with your ball striking on pitch shots, Luke, have you got a drill for us that we can use?
Very much so. So I like to use a tee that's just cemented into the ground a few inches in front of the golf ball. And the idea being, the ground here at Northampton is pretty solid. So the idea being you just want to clip that tee after impact, and that encourages that slightly steeper angle into the golf ball. But more importantly, it encourages us to hit the golf ball first and then turf.
Golf ball first, divot second.
Quite often we'll see amateurs who tend to maybe come down to the golf ball and try and lift or scoop the ball into the air, and their angle of attack tends to become a bit too shallow. There's a balance between how shallow and how steep you want to go. So it's okay to be a little bit shallow, but we just don't want to be going so much so that we can't control it consistently.
Right, okay, fine.
So this just encourages a nice amount of steepness into our delivery.
Okay, good.
So
well, hit one for us.
Okay, so I'm slightly left with my body alignment. Ball position is fairly central, if anything slightly back. And I'm just going to be looking to clip that tee.
Yep, clip the tee.
After the golf ball, just a little click.
And quite a lot of spin on that one.
Yeah, well, I do tend to strike it pretty purely, so I'm joking. But no, the strike is important, of course, but it helps that we are using a clean wedge, and it's amazing actually how important it is to keep your wedge clean and all of your golf clubs clean.
Yeah.
Because that actually does make sure that you are able to impart as much spin as you can.
Yeah, and it's not just the spin, it's the ball flight too. If you can clean the face of your wedge, you'll get the flight that you're looking for, and you'll get plenty of spin. Right, let's take a look at the half pitch. Right, so if you want to be a good pitcher of the ball, you can't just hit full pitches all the time, as Luke mentioned. You've got to be able to hit those half pitch shots. We've walked about 30 or so yards closer to the green, and this is now a really difficult zone for a lot of golfers. This is the one where you've really got to be able to control your golf swing and your distance. How do you control distance for a shot like this? Okay,
so a good starting point here is firstly know how far you hit each golf club, and more specifically, like we're talking about here, your wedges. So if I know how far I hit my 56, which is what we're using here, so I never look to hit my 56 more than 100.
Okay.
So if we're 60 yards away, I know for me that's just over half a swing at the same power as what I do with my 100-yard swing.
Right, okay.
So I'll keep the power the same unless a certain condition needs it to be different otherwise, and then just change the length of my swing and a couple of other fundamentals.
What do you mean by the power of your swing?
So you could change the power of your swing. So for example, if I needed to get to a flag that was maybe tucked up at the front of the green and it's at 105 yards, I know that I can just add a bit more oomph to my 100-yard 56-degree swing, just to get it that little bit of extra yardage. It will go a bit higher because I'm adding a bit more power, and it will stop quicker because hopefully I'll be imparting a little bit more spin.
Okay.
So that would be a very specific example.
But predominantly you're trying to keep that speed of the swing the same for all your pitch shots. You're just changing the length of it.
Yeah, exactly, because changing one length of swing while keeping everything else the same as much as I can is much easier to manage.
Yeah.
If I start to then introduce different swing speeds at different lengths, I'm increasing the number of variables, which is a bit harder to control, especially if I don't play as often as I used to.
Yeah, okay.
Which is true.
And does anything else change here? Does stance or ball position or anything else apart from swing length change?
I would keep hints of everything the same, but just tweak them slightly. So for example, I would still be aiming left of the target line, but my width of stance, for example, would be a bit narrower, only because I don't need to cover as much yardage. So
okay.
I don't want to have the same width of stance, because then I might instinctively think, okay, I've got the same width of stance here as what I do with my 100 yards, which means I might give this a bit more oomph without realising.
Right, okay.
So I'll limit my width of my stance just to control how far I could swing back and also how much power I put into it.
Okay, okay, let's give it a go.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd keep everything left.
So you got the same wedge that you were hitting the other shot with?
Yeah, exactly the same wedge, slightly left, ball position the same, but just a slightly narrower stance and a slightly shorter length backswing.
That's perfect. It's perfect.
That's
it's a little bit
A
clean.
little bit clean.
Go on, hit another one for us.
Okay. But that would definitely be a good bad one there. So we'll take that. That was nice.
There you go. And what's interesting about that, that's perfect. What's interesting about that is when you nip it like that and you hit it really crisply like you do, actually the ball doesn't climb as high into the air. It's grabbing on the face of the grooves.
Yeah.
It's giving it plenty of spin. You're getting a few bounces up there, and then you're getting a significant amount of check.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. Thanks very much for watching. If you are interested in how to hit your irons better, keep your eyes peeled for the other videos in this ball striking iron play series. Luke's tips could really help you out. Please do leave comments below. What do you think of Luke's tips? Have you got any ideas of your own? Anything that's really helped you improve your pitching? We would be really interested to hear your thoughts. But for now, from North Hands, it's goodbye.